Today I wanted to do a video expanding on my Fastrack for a permanent layout, and I was going to discuss track power and control. It showed how I did this. I have one powerhouse which goes to the TMCC lock-on, which you really don't need. These powerhouses have a fantastic breaker, and you really don't need this, but I got it as a package deal on the secondhand market, so I thought I'd just throw it in as some overkill protection. And from there, the power goes into my Lionel TPC unit. This has a nice feature where when you hit the emergency stop on your legacy remote, it will cut power to the track, which is a little nicer if you get in a derailment situation. The thing I don't like about this TMCC lock-on is if you have a short or a derailment, this will pop and then it will reset like 5 seconds later. So if you haven't gotten to whatever the problem is, it's going to keep cycling and cycling. But this, you can hit off on your remote, kill the power, and then take care of the problem. I have a second powerhouse that goes to a Lionel AVC unit, accessory voltage controller, which I recently picked up. I'm a member of the OGR forum, and there's a gentleman that had two of these on here. Steal of a deal. If you're a forum member and you'd like to shoot me an email, I can drop you his information. I don't want to put that out worldwide. But steal of a deal on this. And I like these units. The Legacy Power Master achieves the same thing in a more modern way, but I like the aluminum build of these. It's a nice quality product. The only drawback is you have to run a command and data wire from each of these units, and then the one that comes out of the legacy base, because these do not receive command signals through the air. They only receive it by the wire, but not a big deal for me. And I have my power goes into an MTH distribution block and is spread from there. Both of my main lines, I've got feeders about every 10 feet with a bus line going around. And my accessories, it's a similar thing where I have them going into a distribution box and then they spread out from there. One thing I can recommend is a voltmeter is key. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You can get this Gardner Bender one was, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 bucks. But then you know exactly what kind of power you're putting to the track. And you can find issues. You can find continuity issues and things like that. Secondly, if you wire your layout, I said it before and I'll say it again, don't skimp on the wire. I ran 14 gauge feeders as well as bus line throughout the layout for the track power, and I don't regret it 1 second. I don't have any power delivery issues on this layout whatsoever. And some guys run a 10 gauge bus and then they run the 18 gauge out of the top like every 3 or 4 feet. I'm spaced about 10 feet apart, and areas where I park trains are on separate blocks. I'll discuss some more about that. And that's pretty much it. I have some wiring, but it's not crazy. It's just you have to do it right. A nice big 14 gauge or even 16. I wouldn't go smaller than 16, especially for a command layout. And space your feeders 8-10 feet apart. That's what I did. Certainly you could go closer, but it's more work and more wiring, and that's key. Good wiring. And again, like I said in the other video, try and get all the dips out of your track. If you can get to the end of the layout and sight down the top of the track, and if you see rises and falls, in my case, snug the screw down here, back it out a little over there, so more or less the track is running level or level within the area that, obviously if you're having an incline, it's going to slope down, but it should be an even, steady slope and, not go up and down within the slope. Also, legacy remote. I have one of the earlier versions. I'm running the 1.4 software. I haven't gotten around to updating it yet. Eventually I will. I'm kind of hoping to find somebody that maybe will loan me their modules, because my computer is too old and I just really don't have the patience for just downloading all that. If I can throw somebody a few bucks, borrow their modules, send them back, that's kind of what I want to do. A lot of folks are intimidated by this remote. It's really not as scary as it looks. And when you get used to it, you really enjoy it. In fact, the Legacy remote, as far as I can tell, is the only remote in the hobby that can run model trains without having to stare at the remote the majority of the time. This remote can all be done by feel. All your meat and potatoes functions, your whistle, your bell, the train brake, which I call the load because that's essentially what it does. It increases the labor of the engine or lightens it up, and your throttle. And that can all be done, even once you address it, you can hit the engine button, switch back locomotives, and it's the only one you can do that. Everything else, DCS, DCC, you have to look down and type in a number to correspond with the code to the command you want to issue. And I'm completely the other way. I love this Legacy remote. Some people say it's big and cumbersome. I like to have something and I can feel what's going on and run most things one-handed. And I'm not interested in running trains with my phone at all. I tried the app from Lionel. While it works, but I want to look at my trains and watch them react to the commands that I'm giving instead of stare at my phone and then look at the train and then stare at the phone again, trying to find the next thing I want to do. Just my opinion. The guys that like it, great. Whatever keeps this hobby, keeps people interested and keeps them going, more power to it. The next thing, when I got this Legacy remote, there was charging issues that were addressed. I never got these charging issues addressed. I didn't feel like sending the remote back. I don't like the idea of leaving the command set plugged in 24/7. You know, you could have a short circuit in your house, whatever. If it's unplugged, no harm can come to it. On top of that, the Legacy base tends to get a little toasty, makes the remote a little toasty, heat, not the best thing for electronics. And since this isn't a mass-produced item, like a cordless phone for your home, I assume leave this thing off. If I'm not running trains, it's off. So as an alternative, what I did is get some, these are Energizer nickel metal hydride batteries, and this is an antique battery charger that goes back to the heyday of the digital camera. I still use a digital camera that we got this charger for, but you can go on Amazon, get charger with batteries for real reasonable costs, and I charge my batteries in this. Doesn't take that long, maybe a couple hours, and they last days. I don't know how long. I have family and things. I don't run my trains every day, but I get several hours of use out of one set of charged batteries. There's plenty of downtime. Guys say, oh, I don't want to wait for the batteries to charge. For me, I have plenty of downtime where I can charge these batteries, go off and do something else. You know, make a pot of coffee. Hour or two later, you can run again, worst case scenario. And that's the gist of that. Oh, one more thing. And when you do that, there's a switch on the bottom of the base right here that turns off the charging feature. You turn off the charging feature, and just as an extra measure, I put some tape over the charging contacts so that nothing can backfeed there, and that works.